The opinions expressed in the following program are not necessarily those of Eastlink Community TV, its sponsors, or partners.
This is Titans of Business on Eastlink Community TV, a chance for you to get behind the scenes of some of the most successful businesses in the region and meet the people who built them. And our guest today is the President and CEO of Office Interiors, Mr. Jim Mills, on the program. Great to have you here, Jim.
Thank you, Bruce. Nice to be here.
I know you're a Sherbrooke, Quebec-born guy, but you consider yourself a Truro guy, don't you?
I am a Truro boy, no question about it. My family moved, although my 6 siblings and I are all born in Sherbrooke, Quebec, we moved to Truro when I was 8 years old, 1968.
So formative years in Truro for sure.
Absolutely.
What did your dad do?
My dad was a salesperson with a company called Canada Carborundum, sold industrial products to hardware stores and factories and that type of thing.
How did his personal business explode when WD-40 came into his life?
Yeah, that's a great story. I was in high school, and my dad started this. He worked really hard at his full-time job, but he started this side business. So he had a little entrepreneur in him as well. He started a side business called Satellite Supplies. And he found products that were not competing with, obviously, his full-time day job. And that went on for a few years. And then I was at university, and we had a fairly small house, but we had a carport with a small storage room. And sort of all of a sudden, these boxes would arrive in quantity, and this room sort of got full. And so I asked my dad what it was, and he showed me a can. It was this nondescript can, gray label, just some type on it, and it said WD-40. And so what happened was he discovered the product, and he became the distributor for the Maritimes, for Atlantic Canada actually. And it became, he was quite successful at it. He sold a lot of WD-40 for quite a number of years.
Life got a little better for him.
He always wanted a Suburban, and he always wanted a trailer, a travel trailer. So that's one example of a little perk from that little side gig he had.
What did you learn from watching him?
Hard work. He worked hard. He always wanted to look professional. He always wore a suit. He worked really hard. But the big thing was he was an advocate for his customers. He would go to bat for his customers whenever he felt it was necessary. And as a result, he had customers that were very loyal to him over many, many years. And that's the thing I think that made him super successful.
I know you went to Cobequid Education Center. You were the male athlete of the year, I think, in grade 12.
I was, yeah.
Sports can teach you a lot of stuff. What did it teach you?
Well, I was fortunate to love sports. I played a lot of sports in high school. I played football and basketball. And in my grade 12 year, we won provincials in both sports. And it was the first time CEC had won the basketball title. So that was a lot of fun. And sports had a big impact on my life. It taught me hard work. Obviously, we won a lot, so everybody, of course, likes to win. But it also taught me how to lose, and because you do lose in sports, taught me teamwork, taught me leadership skills, taught me to stretch further than I thought I could stretch. So a lot of lessons from sports, and that's stayed with me really my whole life.
You took all of that to Acadia for your undergraduate degree. What did you do there?
Well, at Acadia, I actually was a member of the swim team. So I taught swimming lessons, and I was a lifeguard in Truro, and I always wanted to give full sort of winter swimming a kick, no pun intended. So I did that, and enjoyed it also a lot. It's a little more of a solo sport versus a team sport, so there's some differences there. But yeah, my years at Acadia were a lot of fun. Really enjoyed that.
And what degree were you aiming for?
Took a Bachelor business administration at Acadia, so I took a business degree. I was on the student council. I was a teaching assistant. I had to do some work to make it all to make it all work through university. And yeah, my 4 years in Wolfville I've got fond memories.
Now your story, some might think, would go from Acadia right to opening office interiors. It does not, though. There's a gap. What's in the middle here?
Yeah, so I finished at Acadia. I wanted to try a sales career like my dad, and so my first job was with Canada Packers, and I moved to Edmonton. I was out there for 18 months, lived in Edmonton. They transferred me to Kamloops, BC. Which was actually the very first time that I lived on my own. That was a new experience. Learned to ski in Kamloops, which was a good takeaway. And then they transferred me to downtown Calgary territory. So I was 23. I had the downtown Calgary territory. I had Banff was part of my territory. It was life was pretty good for a young guy, and. Then actually one of my professors from Acadia sent me this ad for Johnson & Johnson, a division of Johnson & Johnson called Ethicon. So I applied, got the job. They took me to Vancouver for 2 months to train. So I got to spend some time in Vancouver, which was pretty fun for a young guy. And then they transferred me back to Halifax, and I started my sales career with Ethicon.
And it lasted a while, didn't it?
I was with J&J for a little over 9 years. Did a number of roles there. I was a product director at one point, and that was in Peterborough, Ontario. And I came back to Halifax as regional sales manager for Ottawa and Atlantic Canada.
And you were doing clearly really well with J&J, but at some point a light bulb goes off and you say, I want to start a business. So I hate asking two-part questions, but here's a two-part question. Why did you want to start a business, and how did you lean toward office furniture?
Well, my experience at J&J was fantastic. Great company, one of the best companies in the world. Taught me a lot that I have taken to my experience with office interiors as a business owner and an entrepreneur. And so, I was at the time, I had three young children of the 4 I have today. So family life was busy. All my 6 siblings and my parents live in Nova Scotia. We're a close family, and my next move with J&J would have transferred me back to Toronto, and then who knows where after that, but it would not have been in the Maritime. So I wanted to put roots down here. My brother Don, at the time, owned Corporate Research Associates, and he was an entrepreneur, so I'd been watching him for a number of years. And I thought, that looks pretty fun. I'd like to give that a kick. And so, to make a long story short, what happened when I was here is I got a call from a headhunter. And they said, we've got this job, VP Sales, at a local company that had been around a long time, Seaman Cross. They're in the contract office furniture business. Would you be interested? So I went and met with them. I met with the owners. The business had gone through some difficult times, so it wasn't in great shape. But I took the plunge, left J&J, which was a difficult decision, went to Seaman Cross. They were unfortunately in worse shape than I anticipated, and they went into receivership, then bankruptcy just 5 months later. So then I had a decision to make.
The decision was to open office interiors.
I had an opportunity. J&J came back to me. I had an opportunity actually to go back to Ethicon. Or the other option was to start from scratch and do my own thing, and that's how Office Interiors got started.
You picked the name? Was that your name?
I had 2 partners, Ted Malpage and John Patterson, at the time, and we, so we threw around some different name options, And we came to the conclusion with some advice from some people that were, brighter than we were at the time, that it might be a good idea to pick a name that sort of spoke to what you did. And so what we do is inside the workplace, so office interiors seem to make sense.
Was it successful out of the gate for you?
The business?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't call it a success. It was hard. The first year in particular was painfully hard. So it took a few years for us to learn from mistakes and get some traction and start to gain some momentum.
As that momentum was gained, what became your mantra at Office Interiors?
Well, it's been my life mantra pretty much, which is work hard, play hard. So, and I've always felt that if you're gonna put the work in to be an entrepreneur, which is hard work, that you've got to find opportunities to have fun along the way as often as you can. And because it's what makes the hard work, for me at least, it's what makes the hard work worthwhile.
Right. That's an ideal spot for our first break here on Titans of Business. When we come back, Jim Mills takes us to Office Interiors on Ralston Avenue in Dartmouth. That's when Titans of Business continues. All right, as promised, here we are inside Office Interiors on Ralston Avenue in Dartmouth, and I can't imagine there are a lot of office furniture stores that have their own bar. Is this exclusive to you?
It's not exclusive for sure, but we get a lot of customers that find it pretty interesting. And but we've had a bar in all of our showrooms really for almost since the beginning. We use it for community events. We use it for staff events and so on, different celebrations.
How many employees when you first started?
We had, right out of the gate, including my two partners, we had 8 employees. So, and we were in one small office.
As we sit here today, how many employees?
Well, including our affiliated companies, we're over 200 today.
And what are the affiliated companies today?
Our affiliated companies are Cabco Communications and Lakeview Electric, commercial electrical contractor, and Tommy's Flooring in Fredericton.
Right, so most of it out of this building, but some in Fredericton as well?
Correct.
Yeah. What do you look for when you hire someone to work for you?
Well, we always hire for skill, of course, depending on the job role. But beyond that, what's really important to us is to try to find people that align well with our values. We have 6 values. It's how we make decisions strategically. It's how we run the business. So that value match is a really important piece to our hiring process.
How successful have you been at not just hiring, but in retaining employees?
We've been very fortunate. First of all, we've got a great team. So all-star team, I always say. And we have very low turnover, and it's been that way for quite a long time. So our ability to retain people, we've got a lot of tenured people, 15 plus years, 20 plus years, 25 plus years, and we actually have a couple that are 30 years. They've been with us since the beginning.
They're clearly staying because they like what they do. Why do you think they do?
Well, our tagline is "Love the way you work." So hopefully they love the way they work. I'm sure some days, that may not be the case, but on balance, hopefully that is. And yeah, I mean, we try to, as I said earlier, we do work hard. Business is hard, as I always say, and we try to do a great job taking care of our clients. But we also like to have fun.
Yeah. Last couple of years were strange ones for our planet with the pandemic. How does a place that sells office furniture survive during a pandemic where very few people are in the office?
Yeah, great question. We honestly, any entrepreneur will tell you if they've been around long enough that they've had sleepless nights. And I can tell you that in that first month of the shutdown, I had more sleepless nights than I've had in my entire career. So, I was worried. I think most business owners were worried where everything was going to go. But as it's turned out, business has been actually fantastic. We took a little dip in 2020, and then we bounced back in 2021, and we've been growing ever since.
Did you have to adapt how you do things or what you sell?
What's happened with the pandemic and the whole work from home phenomena and the new hybrid work is that most organizations now understand that they need to use their workplace as an asset to both attract and retain good talent. So as a result of that, they're looking to us to help them redesign, reimagine what their workplace can be to adapt to the new working environment.
If we talk about this building for a second, I know very little here is by accident. It was designed very specifically for reason after reason. Tell me about a couple of the cooler things here that impress you.
Well, it's the first time we've been in brand new space. So we own the building, and we had a big hand in designing the building and our space. And we actually had to make a decision. The shutdown happened in the third week of March 2020. And with our builder, who did a fantastic job, we had to make a decision in early April because we had been planning for a year, go, no go, because they would have moved on to a different project and we would have been delayed probably a year or two. So that was a bit of a white knuckler because it's the biggest investment we've ever made, and obviously we pulled the trigger. Really happy we did. It would have cost us a small fortune extra to do it today. But the building, it's an open design, as you can see. It's got lots of windows. All of our team have great access to natural light, as an example. There's lots of upstairs, which is where most of our team works. It's got lots of cool little places to meet, to collaborate, and to get their work done, to be productive.
Final one for you here. After years in the business, how do you sell someone a chair or a copier or any piece of office furniture? How do you do it?
Well, I've sold a lot myself. I still think of myself as a salesperson. I love taking care of customers. But the truth is, we've got great products, great solutions. At the end of the day, customers will do business with people that they trust and they like. And we've been very fortunate in that regard for many, many years. We literally have customers that have been with us for more than 30 years.
As long as some of your employees.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's take one more break. We'll come back and talk about the legacy of Office Interiors. Our guest is President and CEO Jim Mills. And the final segment here on Titans of Business with the President and CEO of Office Interiors, Jim Mills. How would you describe your style of leadership?
I try to lead by example, mostly, and feel, full credit to an amazing team that we have at Office Interiors. If I expect them to work hard, I need to work hard. So I just feel that leading by example is the number one thing that I can do, and it's everybody watches the business owner. There's nowhere to hide, so I would say mostly that's my style.
Goes back to your dad a bit, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah. I know there's a question you love to ask in interview situations. What do you love more? Do you love to win or do you hate to lose is your question. Well, why is that an important question for you?
Well, I love that question. It's for a couple of reasons. First of all, the response could be either side of that question. It's why they pick, do you love to win, do you hate to lose, that counts. And sometimes people will quickly just say, I love to win, winning's great, and it's not a very thoughtful answer. What I really like is when people pick, I hate to lose, because typically they've learned lessons, and they try not to make that mistake again, and they improve, and it's that constant drive for improvement that makes a person a better performer over time.
It's what you learn while losing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I know philanthropy is absolutely huge for you. As soon as you made some money, you started to share that money. Why so?
Well, again, both my parents were involved in the community. Again, my brother Don has done a lot in the community, so I've been around it in our family, and it's just important to me. And I think, I fundamentally believe that if you're going to be a successful business in a community, then you have a responsibility to give back to that community, and it's one of our 6 core values. At Office Interiors, we have again, I'm proud of my team. We have a massive participation rate. Some of our team members do amazing work in the community. And what I always say to people as I interview them, even if you do something that you feel is small in the community, you're still making a contribution. So yeah, philanthropy it's a big piece of what we do, and a big piece of what I do.
Office Interiors for you has become, it started as a family business. It's really a family business now, isn't it?
Well, it is. I have 3 of my 4 kids are involved in the business, and my son-in-law of the 4th. So really, they're all sort of represented. And then my nephew, Mike, Don's son, is CEO of Cabco, one of our affiliated companies. So yeah, we've had family, plus my 3 sisters have all worked in the business for at least 20 years. Now 2 of them are retired. So yeah, I've had a lot of family in the business, and I've enjoyed that immensely. Doesn't come without some challenges, obviously, but if you pay attention to that, you can work through those challenges.
I was going to ask you the pros and cons of that. The pros are obvious. What are the potential cons, and how do you work through them?
Well, if you're related to the owner and CEO, the danger is that people could perceive special treatment. That's the biggest con. So, as I remind everybody, in particular my kids, they have to be seen by their colleagues to be working harder and making a big contribution themselves. There's no free ticket, and that's I think that's the biggest piece of having family members. The flip side of that, of course, is I get a chance to mentor them. I get to see them a lot, and through the pandemic in particular, where families were separated, across Canada and around the world. I got to see my kids every day, so.
Not a bad thing. Final and arguably most important question for you. If there's a young entrepreneur watching this show tonight, what's the biggest part of your story from which they can learn, do you think?
Business is hard. And I'm fortunate that I do get to meet with a lot of young business owners who are looking for advice, and I always say the same couple of things. First of all, business is hard, so you're gonna wear it. You're the leader. At the end of the day, any hard decisions are going to come to you, and that goes with the territory. So be prepared. I think there's 2 ingredients that all of the successful entrepreneurs that I've met and that I know have. One is they work really hard. So yes, business is hard, and how they win is they work really hard, and they have a deep passion for their business. They're very passionate. They care deeply. And I think if you're a young person starting a business, if you have those 2 attributes and you apply that over time, you'll be very successful.
We will end on that thought. A pleasure to have you on the program, Jim Mills. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
President and CEO of Office Interiors, Jim Mills, our guest on Titans of Business. You've been watching Eastlink Community TV.